We are less than 24 hours from the semifinals of the USL playoffs. Welcome to another episode of League One on the Rocks. My name is Rich. You can find me on Twitter at I'm Rich, but I'm not. That is Brian opposite me. You can find him on Twitter at Mediocre Ace. Brian, how are you, man?
I'm doing good. It's looking more and more likely that the rain will move out in Omaha tomorrow for the match. So hopefully we won't be getting wet or rained out in the match. But the nice thing about rain before a match day is there'll be no complaining about too much sand on the pitch this time.
Very true. And I love how you bring up the weather because through all the stats and all the storylines that I've looked at, I never once considered to take a look at the weather report.
That's
So,
fair. That's fair.
man, thank you for having my back on that one.
Let's check out what it's going to do in Madison tomorrow.
Yeah.
Um, Hourly, please. If I was better at what I do, I would have already had this pulled up because knew I was going to say something about it, but I
Tim with
didn't.
Ranting Blue Penguin coming in saying 20, 24 hours to go. I want to be sedated. And then
There's
he also
something.
follows it up with that's because the weather doesn't even know what it's going to do day to day. True.
Yeah, that's here.
Very true.
So it looks
Hopefully, the
like,
Omadome is already going to protect you guys there at Warner Park tomorrow.
right? Looks like 49 degrees and cloudy.
Okay. So it's going to be a chilly evening, but that's like warm weather for,
Breeze about this time of year, yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
51% chance of rain at 9 p.m.
Okay. So,
So right as that match should be getting over, it's
yeah.
when the rain will be coming in.
Cool. Well, here now we have perfect weather indoors for another episode of League One on the Rocks. So we're going to get right into it. Um, actually, before, what are you drinking tonight?
Um, I anticipate a super heavy day of drinking tomorrow. I'm already. I was talking to Rich before the show. I'm super nervous about the match tomorrow, so nerves have already set in, and the only way I know how to quell my nerves is to start drinking as soon as possible. So tonight I just got water. I'm gonna hydrate myself tonight and be ready to not pass out by the end of the match tomorrow, so I can watch the other semifinal match.
Smart man. So I am going to go with the Angels Envy again this week. There we go. The Angels Envy. Um,
Love it.
I actually received a present from a friend of mine. Here, let me pull I always love the sound of the cork. Yeah. I received a special gift from a friend of mine today. Um, I can't say why I received the gift, but I can say what I received. And he bought me a fresh bottle of Angel's Envy.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So I was super happy to receive that gift. Um, so Mitchell, this one's for you, buddy.
Tim with Ranting Blue Penguin saying, if I end up needing a ride to the match, I won't end up needing a ride to the match. I do appreciate it, Tim. My brother is gonna come and pick me up. I will let you know after the match if that is the is what's needed. But usually, I've gotten pretty good about knowing how many Valentino's pizzas it takes to be sobered up by the end of the match. So
Yep.
no
And
drinking
we
and
got
driving,
Soup
guys.
Loops in the chat.
Soup Loops, he's
Soup
back.
Loops. Can't believe I made the stream. It's been months. Yes, it has, man. Hope you're
Glad
doing
to see
well.
you. Chris Joss coming in saying, I may need a ride. Yes. It is going to be a good one. Both of these matches actually are going to be good. We're going to talk about it here in a little bit, but I don't think anything is going to top the shocker that happened this week. I think
Yeah.
everybody can kind of figure what I'm alluding to in that one, but we will get to that eventually. But
Yep.
all task this week to be more entertaining than the match last week.
So true. And before we move into the League One news, she's in the chat right now. and it's her birthday. Happy birthday, Chris.
Yes, happy birthday for joining us on your birthday too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Soup Loop's also coming in saying my YouTube keeps telling me keeps not telling me when you guys are live, so I just watched the full video after. Well, we appreciate you joining us here and now.
Definitely. See what we can do about. I'll play around with the notification settings and see if I can't make sure that gets out to everybody.
And as we get into some of the League One news, there's plenty of discussion happening about clubs that are joining the league here pretty soon. But as far as league news for current teams, Player of the Month went to Lalo Delgado, goalkeeper for Northern Colorado Hailstorm. In the month of October, Northern Colorado was perfect 5-0-0, with three of those wins being against playoff bound clubs.
Impressive.
Uh, yeah, and in those 5 matches, he had 21 saves, 4 clean sheets, and a .20 goals against average. Insane. And the 4 clean sheets was tied for second most in a single month in league history. He had a hell of a month, and
Hmm.
against crazy competition too.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's we always. I mean, we've been singing Lalo's praises all season long. I mean, just you can't talk enough about how many great goalkeepers USL League One has. But this one, I mean, that's those stats on their own. I mean, you can't get any better than that, obviously. So I think a well deserved Player of the Month award here.
Yeah. And he's also the first goalkeeper in league history to record 20 or more saves and concede 1 or fewer goals in a single month. And then, if you think that Player of the Month being given to a goalkeeper is a rare occasion in League One history, yes, it is. It hasn't happened since 2019. In June of 2019, it went to Lansing Ignite's Stephen Cleveland. And then in August of 2019, it went to Greenville's Dallas J.
So twice in 2019 and not since.
Not since.
Wow.
And then to match the energy of Lalo Delgado getting Player of the Month, Coach of the Month went to Eamon Zayed, also at Northern Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, for all the same reasons that you mentioned earlier, Rich. 5-0-0 record in October, all of which being teams above the playoff line, top caliber teams. Um, I mean, I don't think anybody else really could have unseated him for this one. I think it was a foregone conclusion he was going to get this award this month. So, I mean, you finished the regular season with 5 wins and a top 2 finish. What more can be said? I mean, you want results. That's what Coach of the Month is for. And Coach Syed gave him to you. So, obvious choice for me.
Yeah, easy choice. Um, he also becomes the first coach to be awarded Coach of the Month for 3 or more times in league history, which makes me feel like Saturday Night Live when they have the 5 host club. There
Sure.
should be
Yeah.
like a Coach of the Month, like 3 jacket club.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I think we got to start traditions here. I don't think the league looks enough at these kinds of things.
See, I'm telling you, man.
Get the
We could
content
do some
creators.
we could do some fun skits with that too.
Oh, definitely. Just invite us all down to the league offices in Florida, next year. All the content creators will have a kind of a creator summit down there. Have a good time. We'll do it on a beach too.
Oh,
Just a
yes.
live show of all of the content creators sitting on the beach just hanging out. I think the league should do that. We're going to
Yep.
try to let's pitch that idea and see where that goes.
I love that. The brainstorming and the creativity that we would have in that room. Oh my gosh. Well, I think we would die laughing. It would
Yeah. I don't
just
think
be too
anything
good.
would get done. I think it would just be all of us hanging out.
That too. Tim coming in saying it's the 3-time winner's sweater instead of the jacket. Yes,
In this
for Eamon.
instance, Yeah,
Yeah.
a nice Irish sweater. Gotta have it.
Yep. Ooh, yeah, that's also true. Tim coming in saying the brainstorming and creativity would be rivaled only by the bottles outside of our rooms. That is very true.
Yeah. Mhm. Especially down in Florida. Yeah, nice weather. I th I Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, we'd be having some fun. Well, a current look at the bracket, there's only 4 teams left. We have 3 matches left in this entire season,
Ugh.
which sounds crazy to think about, considering all the fun that we've had covering Open Cup, the Jägermeister Cup, regular season, and now playoffs. 3 matches left before we start the long march through the off season.
Yeah, I mean, we could probably throw long in quotations here.
Yeah.
'Cause I mean, most teams start preseason again back in February, and we start covering actual preseason matches in February. So at least the ones that are open and not all of them played behind closed doors, Union
Yep.
Omaha.
Yep. And a lot of those player signings will start being announced possibly even like December-ish.
Yeah, I think
So,
mid to late December last year
yeah.
is when we started getting some rolling in.
Yeah. So we'll have some news and stuff like that coming down the pipe.
Oh, I think we've got a ton of content for this off season that we can
Oh
talk
yeah.
about too. So
Yeah.
we ain't going nowhere.
No. And before we look ahead to the semifinals previews, we can go ahead and do a quick recap of the quarterfinals with 3 matches on Saturday, 1 on Sunday. All 3 matches on Saturday were on ESPN Plus. First match kicking off in Greenville. This was an afternoon match, like 2 p.m. or something like
Hmm.
that. It was Greenville hosting One Knox and a close affair, but Greenville did pull out the victory.
Yeah, this was kind of one of those matches that I mean, um we talked about exactly what was going to happen and what ended up happening. You had two defensive teams, and it was the counterattacks that really propelled Greenville to this victory. We knew it was going to be close. We knew both of these teams like to sit back and let the other team play possession, and I think I'm not mistaken, Greenville's numbers were a little bit higher in this one. Again, probably should have pulled it up, but I did not.
But then it was also interesting that while Greenville did take the lead, they traded penalty kicks to close out the match. With Kempis Tequila scoring for One Knox, and then Lyle McKinnon scoring the penalty for Greenville to secure the victory.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, I
I
mean,
feel like I I feel like there was some controversy in this match, um, but I still think we got the result that was deserved of the performances that we saw that day.
yeah. So Greenville did end up having more possession. It wasn't much. It was 53 to 47% possession. Um, Knoxville actually outshot Greenville with shots and shots on target. 15 to 7 on shots and 5 to 3 with shots on target in favor of Knoxville in both of those. Um, Pass accuracy pretty close, and I mean it. You go by the stats, this was a pretty evenly matched matchup, except for shots and shots on target, which I always go with, the eye test because those stats, if you looked at those just on their own, you would have assumed Knoxville takes the victory in that one. But it's one of those things where sometimes just the more veteran team comes out and gets the win in close matches like this, where both teams there's not a whole lot of separation between the two.
Yeah, this one was not only decided by the penalty kick taken by Lyle McKinnon, but also the preceding foul, which precipitated the penalty kick. But it was a man. I don't know any other way to describe it, but just I almost want to say like a desperate tackle from Sean Lewis in the box. Uh,
Yeah.
and I mean those are easy calls for the ref.
Hmm. Yeah, I didn't see it as super egregious. I think there was a play made on the ball, but in that situation, in that big of a moment, you really have to keep your head about yourself. That's going to get called every time. If you don't get a full palm on the ball, that's going to get called. And it wasn't. I don't think it was necessarily needed. Understand if he did try to take him out to get the penalty, but there was a Knoxville defender in the area that the ball ended up going towards. So I feel like with their defending, they would have had a shot to stop it, but maybe in the moment, goalkeeper wants to step up and be the leader in that one, and unfortunately, it led to a penalty.
Yeah. And Lyle McKinnon, just as he did to close out the regular season against Tormenta, put away this penalty with ease. I mean, it's Liam McKinnon. He's the Golden Boot winner. He's put him on the dot. He's going to score. So, um, yeah, there was also a really good performance. So we had a good performance from Kepis Tequila. Obviously, he scored the penalty for one Knox, but we also had a really good performance from Evan Lee with the Triumph
Hmm.
because he had that assist. I'm sorry, he had the goal in the first half, and man, even off the ball, he looked really good in this match.
Yeah, yeah. There's something to be said about the midfield of the Greenville Triumph. They do just come in and kind of enforce their will upon people, and it's something that you have to look out for when you're playing Greenville, especially when they start to get compact. That that midfield really knows what they're doing, and I think that was the biggest thing that led to Knoxville being unable to get this win is they just weren't able to keep up with the midfield of Greenville. For all the goal scoring for all the guys that can score goals on this Knoxville team, it's we've seen it time and time again against the Triumph. If you're going to beat the Triumph, you're usually not scoring too many goals to beat them. You're beating them in these close kind of matchups. So I think they came out with the right game plan, just couldn't execute because Greenville was just on their game in this one.
Yeah. And with that said, Greenville moves on to the semifinals. Now we're going to get to their opponent, and we can talk more about the stats related to that one here in just a bit. But the second match, this was Madison hosting Charlotte. Now this is the first ever playoff match in Brees Stevens Field, so huge occasion. Place was packed, great atmosphere, and
Hmm.
just as much entertainment on the pitch as well because Madison earns their first semifinal appearance since 2019.
Yeah.
Now, in 2019, it was an automatic appearance in the semifinals because they only had four teams. They earned their way to this semifinals.
Hmm. They did, and they got the best of a team that coming into it. You and I both thought they kind of backed their way into the playoffs. Um, we're kind of reeling coming into it, and we wondered how that was going to play out playing against Madison. Um, Obviously, it didn't work out too well for them. I think everything was pretty evenly matched as far as the numbers, possession, passes, accuracy, all that kind of stuff. Um, but the big thing here is Madison had 7 shots on target against Charlotte. Charlotte had 0 shots on target. And Madison came out and enforced their will upon them too. I mean, it's just both of the teams that we've talked about so far tonight that have won their matches had a game plan perfectly suited for the opponent that they were playing and was executed to perfection. I think Madison wasn't going to let Charlotte pass through the middle on them, wasn't going to let them build up a whole lot. So they pressed like they do. Um, And we know Charlotte is a team that does really well when they have the majority of possession of the ball. They didn't get that in this one. It was a 51 to 49% in favor of Charlotte. So about as close to 50-50 as you can get without being 50-50. And that's how you beat Charlotte. Plain and simple. Madison came out and proved that they belonged in the position that they were in.
Yep. I'm so glad that this one was in Bree Stevens because for Ford Madison to what this is, let me look this up really quick. Um, was this was Ford Madison's first playoff victory, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So to have this in Bree Stevens in front of that crazy ruckus crowd, just a perfect evening for those fans.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they got um, to see that live. You know, have that kind of performance in front of their fans. Madison, the way that Matt Glazer has that team set up, that system, and now that he has the players in that system, they are scary. They are
Mm-hmm.
scary. Oh man, I don't want to give away my predictions, but man, Madison is just they're so good. And the players they have, the way that they're combining together. Devin Boyce having a great match as well. He assisted the first goal, and then he had
Mm-hmm.
the penalty in like the dying moments of the second half. Um, I love the fact that Devin Boyce. I'm a big proponent of people knowing their value, and for Devin Boyce to go up to championship and not get the most playing time with Memphis 901 FC, coming back down to League One where he spent a season with Greenville, and now coming to Madison. This is a player, if you give him time, he's the player who's gonna produce on the pitch. And he has the personality that is gonna connect well with the fans because he does his fun dances. He has the fun sense of humor and everything. But he also seems like a genuinely good guy, a good locker room presence. Um, and I'm glad that Madison fans get to see that from him. They also have plenty of other characters on the team, um, and this Madison team has just been so much fun to follow this season, and so many recognizable names both from Championship and League One coming together for this squad. Yeah, this is a special season for Ford Madison.
Yeah. And I mean, to build on what you spoke of earlier, that them winning this match at home in front of these fans is kind of a payoff um, for their fans because they are consistently in the top three in attendance every single year. Um, they're always loud. You can always hear them on the broadcasts. And rain, snow, or shine, their fans show up. So for them to get the payoff of winning this match against a good Charlotte team with a lot of really high talent, um, just kind of makes everything feel a lot better. And I think kind of a payoff from being so patient with Matt Glazer these past couple of years, um, and realizing that he's trying to build his system, get his guys in, and implement the culture and the effort that he needs and wants from his teams. And I think they're finally found the pieces that they need and found the pieces that they want, and everything's kind of just clicking for them right now. And this is the time you want it to be clicking. So um, a great win for Madison. They controlled the match, did what they needed to do, and they move on to the next round.
Yep. And now we can move on to the team that they will be facing in the semifinals because this is our upset alert. This is our this is the chaos alert right here
Yeah.
because the night match was between Northern Colorado Hailstorm and Spokane Velocity. This was the match that I was most confident in, uh, with both our predictions and going even further and giving it a score. Not even just saying like which team is going to win, but also the score.
Mm-hmm.
Man, was I wrong.
Yep. Same.
Full credit to Spokane
Yeah.
for beating Hailstorm in Windsor 3-0. Crazy.
Yeah. Um, so I guess this is the part of the show where I go into my apology to Spokane fans and the team. I didn't know you guys were built like that. Um, that's my bad. I said this was the most confident I've been in any of my picks all season long, and that got exposed a little bit. So, um, yeah, I was not familiar with your game. I did post that on Twitter, and I do mean it. This one, I mean, the first half ended scoreless, but that is exactly what you want to do as the underdog. You get it to the second half, and anything can happen. Um, and just a flurry of 3 goals in a very short amount of time for Spokane. And they did it by just being clinical. And I think that is the biggest takeaway from this match is Spokane came in not playing the best soccer that they've played all season. They were on a 6-game winless streak up until this point, 6 or 7 match winless streak. So not playing their best, coming in against, from at least from most people that I talk to, their favorite to win the title, the playoff title this season in NoCo, going to Northern Colorado to play at altitude. Um, and they come in and get a flurry of goals and take care of business. I mean, full credit goes to Spokane. They just played like the better team the whole night.
Yeah. There's so the first 45 was just a huge dogfight. The second 45 was perplexing because you had Spokane, like you said, playing in a very clinical fashion. But then Hailstorm, I don't want to go so far as to say that they gave up because I certainly don't want to say that. I don't want to say that about any of Eamon Zayed's teams,
Hmm.
but it just didn't seem like they had the same spark that
No.
they typically do. That second 45 was just an entirely different Hailstorm side from what we've seen all season.
Hmm.
Um, and credit to Spokane for taking advantage of that. If you see the opponent walking, use that as your motor, you know. Keep going and you play those mental games. Show that
Hmm.
you're not tired. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I see I don't even know what it was. It just seemed like Hailstorm was just off their game.
I mean, I've got a bit of a theory, just from because I had to go through and watch this match over again just to try to figure out exactly what happened here. Did Spokane just play that well and just know the perfect game plan to play against Northern Colorado? I think that was part of it. Um, but I also think a lot of credit needs to be put on Brooks Thompson for this one. I
Mm,
mean, he was a force in goal. Um, there was one shot in particular in the first half that was outside the box. It was curling in. It looked great. And instead of most keepers on a ball like that come up and push it away, punch it away, do anything else, he went up and grabbed it out of midair, a surefire goal. And I think that kind of just deflated Northern Colorado a little bit. It just, their shots weren't hitting. And anytime they did get a shot near or on the goal, Brooks Thompson was there and in the perfect position every single time. And I think that wore down their attacking players. And I think confidence started to shift a little bit going into halftime. And I think the momentum was definitely on Spokane's side. And when they got that first goal, I think that was the one that pushed him over the edge.
Mhm. And when I sit here and give my thoughts on Hailstorm in the second half, that's by no means taking any credit away from Velocity. They earned this win.
Definitely.
Um,
It was
and I
not
and I
luck.
certainly what's that?
I said it was not luck.
It was not luck. It was not luck. No, not at all. Um, so I certainly don't want there to be any perception of me sending shade to Spokane. Not doing that. I was just looking at Hailstorm to see what was happening over there. But yeah, Spokane full performance from that squad top to bottom. Um, and yeah, they completely deserve this win. So congratulations to them. Lowest seed in League One history, moving past the first round. So this is an exciting time. I think that's also. Oh, I need to pull up that one as well. But I think this is the first time that Northern Colorado has been shut out in the playoffs.
Well, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it's the first time they've been shut out in the playoffs. So yeah,
Yeah.
interesting setup there with now that we have Ford Madison playing Spokane. Before we look at Union Omaha and Richmond, we can go over to the live chat. Um, Chris coming in saying, if you're going to go somewhere, post on Blue Sky. Yes, we will be. We do have an account on Blue Sky. We will be more active on Blue Sky because it seems that some of our friends from Twitter are making the transition over to Blue Sky. So you will see more activity from us on that app. Um, so be on the lookout for that. If you need our screen name, we can give that to you. I don't know it off the top of my head, but it's probably something along the lines of what you see from our Twitter account. Soup Loop's coming in saying, I'm so ready for Liam McKinnon to get the heck out of this league. Yep. Unless I'm misremembering, he scored a brace on Tormenta all 4 games this year. That could be correct. Now, I think Greenville scored, this is just completely off the top of my head. I think Greenville scored something like 15 goals against Tormenta this season. 9 of those goals came from Liam McKinnon. So if you go one step further, he won the Golden Boot this year with 15, 16 goals, and 9 of those goals came against Tormenta.
Yeah.
So is there a prize that comes to Tormenta for having a contribution to that effort? I'm just throwing it out there. Um, Tim at Ranting Blue Penguin Media coming in saying almost 3 braces and only 1 goal in one of the Jägermeister Cup matches. Yep. And then Tim also saying Devin is a great player and his season accolades were well deserved. Why do you have to go to both our rivals? Yeah. And then
And
Tim also coming in saying, does a game like that keep potential suitors away from Eamon?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think everybody can see a good coach that he is. I think anybody that would be looking to pull him away from Northern Colorado isn't going to look at a one-off playoff game. It's going to be over your entire catalog of work. So
Yeah.
teams play flat sometimes. It happens and upsets happen, especially in League One. We should be used to it by now. Not we've never had it on this level, but during the regular season we see stuff like this all the time. So
Yeah. And we've been covering Northern Colorado since they joined the league. And from day one, it just seemed that Eamon was injecting pure excitement into the league through his style of play, through the players that he was recruiting. It was just nonstop excitement from him. Um, whether we were talking about his sweaters, the his his altercations on the sideline, which were fun for us to observe.
mhm.
Um, the all the action that was happening on the pitch, even losing high prospect players to other clubs in the offseason, he still found a way to recruit other players access that magic and their strengths, utilize them correctly, and find a way for his team to succeed. I mean, there's no way anyone's going to look at this one match and think, "Oh yeah, I don't want Eamon to be the coach of my club." No way. If
I
you have a coaching vacancy, Sacramento Republic, um, I would be looking hardcore at Eamon Zayat.
There are
Or
teams in League One that should be looking at Aben Zayed
yeah,
too. I
oh yeah,
mean, it I I think there's maybe one or two other teams in the league right now that would say, you know what, I think we're good with the guy we got. Um, and maybe that's it. I think most teams would would take Amen in a heartbeat if it was put there on the table.
I know who I would like to see him go to, but it would require a change at their head coaching position. So I don't want to throw that out there just yet because I certainly don't want to air any of that stuff going on.
We also have expansion teams coming in, and
Look,
NOCO is still around as far as we're aware. So I
yep,
think you would have to make a big money offer to pull him away. I think he's building something out there, and I think most I would say most people, if they're in the middle of a building phase, is not gonna just turn around and leave.
yeah. And if for nothing else, if you bring in Eamon Zayed, you have to bring in Colin Falvey, his assistant coach,
Yep.
because those two, as good of chemistry as they have for their team, they are pure magic for social media, interviews, like those short bits and everything. They are so funny together. So those two have to be a pair if you're going to bring them into your club.
hmm Um. So in the chat, Lil Kuzi coming in. Good to see you, Lil Kuzi. What does Greenville do if Liam leaves this offseason? He's going to be hard to replace. And then Geo in the chat as well saying, hopefully we find another rookie that knows when he comes here, he'll have the opportunity to play and move on. That's a good selling point. I mean, that
Yeah.
bringing guys up like that sells your program. That sells your attitude. That sells that you're going to be around for a while. That you're willing to put in the effort on younger guys to come in and make a name for themselves.
And if you have Geo in your corner supporting you on social media, life is good. So if that's another talking point that needs to be put out there for players who are thinking about Greenville, yes, that should be a significant talking point because
Yes.
Geo is incredible. We love that guy. His social media, like his banter is perfect.
hmm
Um, and the way that he supports the guys and gets along with them. I mean, you see the way that he gets along well with Jamie Smith, um, among the other players. So yeah, if you got Geo on your back, you're good.
Just Geo with anybody in general. There's a reason Geo is the only person that has a sticker on the back of my vehicle that is not myself. So,
That's a true story too, because I've been behind Brian in traffic.
mhm. Tim with Ranting Blue Penguin coming in saying Greenville has been good about getting that type of rookie, but also this league allows for transition like that without dropping off terribly. If the coach is solid, Greenville will survive. And I
Yeah,
think they do. And I think they do have a solid coach. I mean, they're in the playoffs, they're in the semis, a place that they are no stranger to. One of the most successful clubs in League One history, doing it again shouldn't be a shock to anybody, even with Rick Wright coming in and replacing. I mean, replacing John Harkes. That sounds like such a difficult thing to do, but Rick Wright's come in and hasn't missed a beat. So full credit goes to him too.
yeah.
Tim also saying similar to how NoCo did well after losing Amen and Arthur Rogers or Trevor Amon and Arthur Rogers last year. True. Yes. They
Mhm.
just came back for more and arguably got better. So
Yeah.
somehow. Lil Kuzi asking if there was a chance that, assuming it's Eamon Zayed, signs a new contract with Northern Colorado, and Gio saying he
Oh,
doesn't think so, but he'll have some great opportunities in the offseason. Or,
I think Kuzi's asking about Liam.
oh, about Liam. Oh, yeah, that. Oh, I don't know. After this kind of year, he's gonna have some hardcore looks from championship for sure.
Yeah, he comes out of Villanova, which I believe is where he went to college. Had 1 year in League One, and then this year just blows up. I mean, think of the potential this guy has.
Yep.
You have to jump on this guy, especially if his contract expires at the end of the season. Yeah, if you're a higher up club and you want to bring him in, or even if you're just another club who wants to take your club to the next level, yes, Lion would certainly be a piece of that.
And I don't really want to say it on here, and I don't think anybody wants to hear it, but MLS Next Pro is making big money moves right now. I think they're definitely going to be looking to raid the coffers of USL League One to try to further their brand. Um, there's been some big money movement happening being put into that league. So unfortunately, um, there's also that direct competitor kind of thought as well.
Yeah.
But Lil Kuzi saying Scarlett, Anderson, Zukowski have played well on the wings when they get time with Greenville. Oh, so when they get time. So Greenville has good young depth. Yes, Greenville is one of those teams that is going to develop talent. They have, and they're going to continue to do that. I don't think that any of that's going to change, especially with Rick Wright as the head man in charge there. Um, I think they're going to put as much emphasis now as they did before. I think that's about as lateral of a move coming from John Harkes to Rick Wright as you could make, um, and probably the most easy transition from one coach that thinks exactly one way to a coach who thinks exactly like him that's been on the staff before. So,
Yeah, so I'm glad that Kuzi's bringing up um, these three players: Zion Scarlett, Hayden Anderson, Ben Zakowski. Obviously, yes, they have played very well on the wings, um, providing plenty of depth for Greenville. Now, if you were the manager and you had those three players, who are you leaning on to the most for your wing play?
mm,
Should we make this? Should we do like a variation of like? Uh,
I don't know where you're going, but I don't know how you're going to get the last one without.
yeah, exactly. Okay. Okay. Start two of them, bench the other.
Mm, see, I don't even know where I'd start on this one. I mean, they all show enormous amount of potential and talent. So I feel like anything I would say, you could offer a counterpoint and I would buy it. Like I all of these guys have their strengths and their weaknesses or lack thereof on weaknesses. I get honestly, I think it comes down to the game. If are you looking for kind of that speedy, explosive play, then I think you're going to go with Zion Scarlett. Um, if you're looking for more of an imposing presence, I think you're going to turn to the other two guys, and it just really comes down to who you're playing and what kind of formation you're looking at.
Yeah. Geo coming in saying, I know which two of the three are available tomorrow. And then Kuzi also coming in here saying Scarlett will be closest to Liam due to the speed, but hasn't had the goals. Now, I will say that I agree with Kuzi on that point, but hasn't haven't all of Scarlett's goals or assists been to Liam McKinnon as well?
I
Let
would
me look that
assume
up here.
I would have to assume the vast majority of them would be.
Yeah, Zion Scarlett has 4 assists, every single one of them being to Liam McKinnon. So, uh, I would certainly pick Zion Scarlett. Even when you watch him play, he's so fun to watch. Opposite of Scarlett, I would go with Zakowski. He also, I think Zion Scarlett has 4 assists. Ben Zakowski has 5. Um, so those two players have proven their worth on the wings, and so I those are the two that I would go with if we were to play that game. Yeah,
Hmm.
but Hayden Anderson, plenty of youth, plenty of talent, completely interchangeable
Yeah.
in there. Plenty of talent. So I'm certainly not sitting him because I don't like him.
I think you play the hot hand between those three. Whoever's hands are the hottest at the time, or I guess feet in this instance, whoever has the hottest feet are going to be the ones that do it. And Tim with Ranting Blue Penguin coming in and saying, "Yes, Geo, do tell who's available. The two are," and then he's going to be writing it down to give to Dominic Cassiato, I'm sure.
All right, so we can jump back into the recaps. We have one more to do. That is Union Omaha hosting Richmond. Union Omaha getting the 1-0 victory. Very narrow victory,
Mm-hmm.
but a victory nonetheless.
Yeah. Definitely a hard fought match. Um, First off, I want to say absolutely gorgeous weather for the time of year that we're in. Brought a jacket and a scarf. Didn't need either of them. It was about as perfect as you could get. Um, but yeah, Richmond came into this one, and I don't know if they just play Union Omaha really well every time they play them. Like they have a team built to play Omaha well. Um, but for the big swaths of this match, Union Omaha didn't look like they were ever fully able to take control. Um, the few opportunities that they had, they kind of squandered some pretty easy passes and stuff like that coming across that were just intercepted. That's not to say that either of these two teams played badly because neither team played bad by any stretch. And I think the thing that stuck out to me the most in this one was that Omaha was able to weather the amount of pressure that Richmond was putting on their defensive line. Um, because that back line was working all night, all day long. It wasn't even a night game; it was a 4 o'clock game, so all day long. Um, and funnily enough, just the way the ball bounces, Richmond happens to miss two opportunities inside the box. Um, First one save into the crossbar by Nuhu. The second one smacking off the bottom of the crossbar. So we're talking not even inches. We're talking like eighths of an inch off of shooting into the back of the net instead of bouncing straight down. And Omaha took advantage. I think there was a reason Lagos Kunga started this match. I think Omaha kind of saw their opportunity on the breaks were going to be there. And that's exactly what happened. Um, you had a ball headed to the middle, and then um, Lagos Kunga put his head on it and started racing down the field like he's known to do. And you had Zico Lewis streaking down the side as well, played it perfectly. The back and forth play, phenomenal to put the ball back in the net and to give Omaha the win in this one. I think Richmond's going to feel a little bit like they left some on goals on the table in this one. I think they definitely deserve to have scored at least one in this one.
Okay, I have a question for you. Put your shoes, put yourself into Simon Fitch's shoes.
Hmm.
Ball comes about the crossbar. gets headed cleared, and I think it was Kunga bringing the ball across the midline
Yep.
who found Zico. Okay,
Hmm.
you're Simon Fitch running stride for stride with Kunga.
Hmm.
Are you bringing him down in the center circle?
Oh, I don't think you. Trying to remember if he was the last man back on that one or not.
There was still one more Richmond defender.
Ooh, I mean, you'd have to be. It would have to be the most professional of professional fouls. It would have to be a jersey tug, but I think I think the thing about Lagos Kunga being in this lineup, I think he was put in for this exact reason. I don't know that a shirt tug brings Lagos Kunga down in this situation. And even if it does, Zico Lewis was already streaking to the midline about the time Lagos got there as well. So in my mind, yeah, you probably do take him down if you know if you know you're not the last man back, you take the yellow. But at the same time, even if you do attempt to take him down, that's no guarantee he goes down out of everybody on the pitch. And even if you do, that's no guarantee he doesn't get the ball out to Zico Lewis, who is just as able as Lagos Kunga is to finish a one-on-one chance.
Yeah. If I'm Simon Fitch in that situation, I'm doing whatever I can to take him out and make sure that the ball is cleared the other side of the pitch so that they don't call advantage. Because I know the threat that Kunga has when he
Hmm.
has the ball at his feet. And knowing that I have a defender closer to the goal than I am, and we're at midline, and I don't have a yellow card already, so I'm not going to get sent off because it's not obvious goal scoring opportunity. I'm taking him out.
Hmm.
Call me dirty, whatever it is. It's playoffs. I got to get to the next round. I'm not giving this guy a breakaway. I'm taking him out.
Professional, professional foul. As long as you don't come in
Yeah.
studs up or like scissor kicking him, I think that would be fall under the professional foul thing. But I do think the reason that that didn't happen is Richmond looked like they were they deserved obviously they deserved to be on the pitch with Omaha that night. They both made the playoffs and they played, you know, to a 1-0 loss in that one. Richmond was it wasn't like Richmond was getting taken off the ball or beaten so badly that in individual matchups that there was no choice but to make sure they don't score a goal any way possible. I think Richmond really had it in their head, and rightfully so, that that match could have easily been won by Richmond as well. If one of those two shots on goals go in, Richmond beats Omaha 1-0. So it's just a complete reverse. So Richmond's in this match. I don't think you take the risk of potentially going down to 10 men because we've seen what Omaha does to teams when they go down a man. Omaha generally scores 2 to 3 goals when you go down a man against them. That's just been their MO this year. Um, so I don't think it was worth it. And at that point, even going down 1-0, I don't even think that was only in like the 60 something minute of the match. They had
If even that.
yeah, they had tons of time to be able to mount a comeback. And
Yeah.
Tim with Ranting Blue Penguin pointing out Omaha only had 39% possession on only 70 accurate passes for 58% in the second half. So Richmond was on the front foot for almost the entire second half.
Yeah.
So I think they easily thought even if you concede a goal here, we're going to score a goal. And they probably should have. They had what looked from in the stands, it looked like Richmond played a better match than Omaha did. And I think it was just a great, not even individual effort, but a great effort from the two forwards, Kunga and Zico Lewis, and a perfect uh, give and go situation because that's the only way Omaha was scoring that night. It had to be something that was just clinical finishing.
And the so a lot of the attention on that play is between Kunga and Zico going down the pitch for that give and go. For me, the the element that made that whole thing happen was after that bar ricocheted off the underside of the crossbar, came back down. whoever it was that had the ball to Kunga.
Hmm.
Um,
With how
was it
Blake Malone's season's gone, I want to think
Charlie?
it was either Blake Malone or yeah, Charlie Ostrom was going to be the
Okay.
other thought in
Oh,
my head.
Chris coming in saying it was Max Schneider. Okay, so for Max to get his head on it, clear it up the field for Kunga, and then the presence of mind for Kunga to receive that ball, turn his body, look up the pitch, and think, all right, it's off to the races.
That's his favorite thing to do.
Yeah, that's his favorite thing to do. So for Max Schneider to head that ball, that's what made the entire thing for me. You
Oh
can
yeah.
talk all you want to about Kunga and Zico down the pitch.
Mhm.
I'm more than happy to celebrate that whole thing. But for me, it's Max Schneider and that header leading Kunga down the pitch.
Yeah, and I mean, if you want to even go further back, I mean, you have the best goal scorer in League One history with Terzaghi sitting in your goal box, puts a shot on goal, and you get your hands on it and deflect it off of the crossbar. I mean, if you want to come all the way back, you could even say Rashid Nuhu on that one with that first one,
Yeah.
and then just a unlucky miss. So honestly, if anything, it's the crossbar. That is the true hero of this one for Union Omaha fans, the crossbar player of the match.
Oh man.
Two
Yep.
saves on two shots.
I love it. We need to make like a graphic for anytime a crossbar or upright makes a crucial play like that.
I think so as well.
All right, so with the 1-0 victory, we now have our semis set up. We have Union Omaha hosting Greenville Saturday afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN Plus. We also have Forward Madison hosting Spokane Velocity immediately afterwards on ESPN Plus as well, 7 p.m. kickoff. Um, Now, we threw out some trivia earlier this week, and this is going to be the third time, excuse me, this is going to be the third time that Union Omaha and Greenville have been scheduled to face off against each other in the playoffs. Now, in the 2020 final didn't happen because of COVID. The 21s, was it 20?
21 it was the 21 final.
21 final. Yeah, that's right.
Hmm.
21 final. Um, so that one, they actually did play a match. So this will be the first time that two teams have faced off against each other, uh, a, a rematch in League One postseason play where the match will actually proceed. Um, you can't look like if you looked across the rest of the League One landscape, there has never been an instance where two teams have faced off against each other more than once in postseason play. It's only Union Omaha and Greenville that you would find who have been matched up more than once.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. The two winningest teams in the league, you're probably gonna have that between these two. And this is a supporter derby match. Obviously, you got the battle for the belt between the Riot and Parliament, so that's also on the line in this one. It's not just the playoffs. Um, and you know, this is I mean, if you go to the graphic from Walk-In 90, this is Union Omaha has two real rivals, and it's Madison and Greenville Triumph. So, um, yeah, this is kind of the matchup. I think this is a matchup that if you're a casual, I think this is the one that you want to watch. And if this is a match that would have been picked up this week on CBS Sports, if it was a slow sports week, they would have picked this one up. Um, yeah, and I mean I mean, you look at the all-time series between them. Omaha has 5 wins, but there's also been 5 draws in these matchups. Greenville Triumph have won twice. Um, so these teams either draw or Union Omaha win the majority of the time, and they are usually pretty close. There's not really matches. I mean, you could say the final 3-0 earlier this year. Omaha beat Greenville in week 19 3-1 and then beat Greenville 1-0 in week 14. So, I mean, there have been times where Omaha has scored a bunch, but you always see a great match between these two because they are the two, I'll say it, the two best teams in League One history going at each other.
Yeah. And by virtue of both of these teams having won their quarterfinal match, for both teams, that's their first victory in postseason play since the 2021 season. And Greenville hasn't won in Warner Park since 2022. So both, there's some dates that we're looking at here, and some streaks that are still kept intact here. But this is not the Greenville team that we've seen last year in 22. This is this is a good Greenville team.
Yeah.
Um,
Got the
I
Golden
have
Boot winner.
yeah, I have more confidence in this Greenville team than I do. Let's see. I think I would have to go back to probably that 21 season. Um, Actually, 22. They had a good season that year. They lost in the semis to Tormenta, but they had a good team that season. So
Hmm.
yeah,
They haven't had a
but
they have never had a bad team.
true. That's a very valid point right there. Yeah. Um, and we've already talked about the quality players that Greenville has. Um, and Tim coming in here with a weird fact: the two wins Greenville has in the series were both at Werner Park. They've never won against Omaha at home. That's a true story.
Well, it's good for them that they are coming to Warner Park tomorrow to play. So
The-
let's not get that out on the team bus tomorrow, Tim.
Chris saying, Tim, please, and Gio coming in saying, that's my favorite fact. Um, Tim saying, that's not me, that's facts, man. Now, if you're a Union Omaha fan and you want some sense of relief, Greenville has not held a clean sheet in 12 matches. And if you were going to get into a scoring contest with Union Omaha,
Yeah,
more often than not,
that's
it's
not the
not going to
team
end
to
well
do it.
for you. Yeah.
Yeah, that works against Knoxville. That generally does not work against Union Omaha.
Yeah.
I think it's really going to have to be a defensive, a really defensive stand here from Greenville. I think last week Richmond had the benefit of being the 8 seed against the 1 seed. You can come in, you can play whatever game you want, um, because A, it's a win or go home, and B, you're the 8 seed versus the 1 seed. You're not expected to win this matchup. Like, more often than not, you will not win this matchup. So they could play with a little bit less less tension, a little bit less anxiety going into it, and could just kind of play free. And I think that showed itself a little bit more. And I think Omaha played a little uptight, being the fact that Richmond, the last time they played them, beat them. And um, I expect both of these teams to come out and expect to win this matchup. I think Greenville, rightfully being the number 4 seed, comes in thinking they can win this one. And I think Omaha, rightfully being the number 1 seed, can come in and think they can win this one. So I think it's really going to come down to which side plays their brand of soccer and imposes their brand of soccer on the other team.
Yeah. I also think um, there's a couple when this series started out, it seemed like it was a very clean series. These matchups were clean, but in recent years, we've seen more and more cards being included into the fold of drama as the match proceeded. And so I think there could be some tempers flaring this one. Obviously, it's a semifinal match. There's gonna be those competitive juices flowing through everybody. The other big concern that I have for both sides, really, but more so for Union Omaha, is their ability um, to manage the flanks. More so for Union Omaha because they're going to be operating without Dion Akoff.
Maybe,
Maybe.
maybe.
Oh, okay,
I don't know. I don't have insider information. I don't know anything, but
okay,
maybe.
okay. I'm only saying that because we haven't seen him play for a bit.
He has not played for a bit. That neither has Steven Dos Santos. That's going to be another big thing.
That was my next point. So Greenville's strength, as we discussed earlier, they have quality depth at their flank. They also have quality in the middle of the field. And as Kuzi pointed out, you can easily float those wingers into the center of the pitch to for any sort of mismatch that you want to. And we've also talked about how well they match up well with Evan Lee, with Liam McKinnon. Um, so Greenville is going to pose a lot of threats to Union Omaha. I don't want Union Omaha going, excuse me, into this super overly confident,
That shouldn't
because
be.
this is, yeah, and I don't think that's a huge concern for Union Omaha. But I do want them to be mindful of the threats that are coming up and down the flanks. That's got to be an obvious concern for them in their preparations for this match.
Yep.
Um, and I have to believe that Joe Gallardo is going to be super busy in the middle of the field as he tries to control all of that, as well as Kunga, as well as Zico. Um, so, oh man, this is just, yeah. If they don't have Dion starting, who did they have start instead of him last time? It was who was it that was starting instead of him? Um, hopefully Tim can jump in here and
Yeah, I'm,
correct us on
I'm
that one.
trying to think. It's not coming to me off the top of my head.
But
Oh, Ryan Chiba.
obviously Jiba. Okay, so Jiba's a good option for replacing Dion Akoff. But you really want Dion.
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm really torn on this one.
Yeah, I mean, pending guys coming back. Because also in the live chat, Tim saying that he was assured that Steven Dos Santos would be in the lineup last week. So your guess is as good as mine now. So, um, if Steven was supposed to be in the lineup last week, I can't imagine he's not in the lineup at least this week. Maybe even on the bench. Um, I would expect Dion to be coming off of injury and might not play the whole match, but might be second half substitution, perhaps. Um, so what Omaha is really going to have to do is they're going to have to limit the size of the pitch. They're going to have to use the size of the pitch to their advantage and force Greenville to play through the middle and not be able to attack down the wings. And they just need to rest on their defensive line, their back line. Their back line has been excellent all season long. And I don't really expect that to change too much. I think if Omaha can contain Greenville on breaks off of their defensive prowess and being able to defend really well, um, they're going to be looking to get out on the break. And if Omaha can somehow put a lid on top of them and keep their defenders back to put a stop to those before they can get really started, um, I think that's the only way Omaha is going to be able to come out of this with a victory. So I think if they get sucked into the game of letting Greenville run the type of offense that they run, which is more slowed down, possession based, I think they're going to get in trouble. Um, just knowing how Union Omaha plays, I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to see the same high hard press that we've seen all season long from Union Omaha. And I think they're going to try to force Greenville into some mistakes. And I think between these two teams' defense, just going based off of this year alone, I trust Union Omaha's defense over Greenville's defense in this one.
And there's a couple of other um, perspectives that I want to speak about too, because you have those on-field concerns, which certainly deserve being discussed, like the ability for Aaron Gomez and Pedro Dolabella to win fouls. They do a great job of winning fouls. That's not only going to give you opportunities to build an attack down the pitch, but it's also going to get into your opponent's head. Union Omaha also has the intangible um, motivators as well. Number one, Michak Jerome.
Mm-hmm.
Can't deny that that's a motivating power for them,
Big
as we
time.
saw in the quarterfinals with the tifo, with Buhos Nation, you and the rest of the stadium clapping in the second minute of the match. All the support and like assistant coach Ladule holding up the jersey after y'all scored. Second intangible motivator. When the first and second team rosters were announced, only one name was included on both of those, and it was Pedro Dolabella.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to piss off the rest of the team. And you know that they're going to be carrying that kind of resentment onto the pitch with them when they take the pitch against Greenville.
Yeah. I I just look at it as you have a team that has done the same thing for 6 years. I think six, yes, 2019 to now, 6 years. Um, they've been a defensive stalwart team. They've hurt people by playing a really specific brand of defense, and I think Omaha has seen them enough that they're going to be able to counter it. And I think the small pitch dimensions, as much as everybody likes to bitch about it, um, it is a competitive advantage because size is limited and guys are not used to playing on converted baseball fields that meet minimum league standards. Um, and I think tomorrow the weather is not supposed to be super bad. I think there should be a pretty decent turnout. I know there's a lot of groups that are looking to come out, and it seems like the whole soccer community, it's the Omaha Kings, put out stuff about it as well.
That's
There's
cool.
been a lot of media rounds. I expect the fans to show up and show out on this one. Big time rival. There's a whole lot of intangibles. I mean, including the ones that you said earlier, Rich. The intangibles all seem to be pointing in Omaha's way. But to counter that, the Triumph are no strangers to any of these things. I mean, in 21 when they came here to play Omaha, that was the biggest crowd that Omaha's ever had for the title match. Um, and as Tim said earlier, both wins by the Triumph have been at Warner Park. They know how to win here, even not being here. So um, this is a super tough matchup to call. I think it's really going to come down to who Omaha has available and if they can contain um, Lime in the midfield and in the attacking spot. If they can't, I think it's going to be a long day for Omaha. And if Omaha doesn't have the pieces to be able to force the play through the middle and use that high press that they do play, I think Greenville would be able to pass them apart. They're the number 4 seed for a reason.
Yeah. The fact that a team that is incredibly strong in space like Greenville is going to be so contained and confined in a space like Warner Park has to lend some sense of advantage to Union Omaha. Um, Another intangible that we haven't really talked about, Tyler Pollock is not doing his playoff hair. I'm just saying. He's not doing it. He's not committed.
Yep. And sometimes
Yeah,
superstitious players, though, just
yep,
happens.
it does. You ready for predictions?
I think so.
Okay.
You want to go first this time? We had this big argument last week about me always going first and taking your pick. So why don't you go first on this one?
All right. I am gonna go. Um, I'm gonna keep it simple. I'm not gonna explain a whole lot here. I'm just gonna go Omaha 2-1. Yes.
All right. Yeah, listen, I will go into it a little bit. It'll be short, I promise. I know we're gonna be coming up on it, and we got to get to another great matchup. Um, I think I think Omaha's gonna have some guys back in the lineup. I think all the intangibles are pointing their way. I think Greenville's gonna be forced to play a style that they're not used to. They're gonna be playing on a shallower pitch, um, both width and length. I think that's not gonna go well for them. I think Omaha wins 2-0.
Okay. Uh, Geo coming in here saying Greenville 1-0. So we have our predictions going around, even the live chats jumping in here. Love to see that happening. All right. So you said Omaha 2-0.
Yep.
All right.
Tim,
So immediately after this match is Forward Madison hosting Spokane Velocity, 7 p.m. kickoff, ESPN Plus, Brees Stevens Field. Madison took both of their regular season matches, shutting out Spokane, um, with week 9 going to Madison in Spokane 3-0, and then going back to Brees Stevens in week 21 with Madison winning 2-0.
mhm.
I'm afraid to talk against Spokane because look at everything that we said last week when they were playing against Northern Colorado. We
Mhm.
rattled off all these regular season statistics about how Spokane wasn't doing so great. And they go out and do that against Northern Colorado. I'm afraid to do so.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Spokane is now the giant killer, right? They have the benefit of being the number 7 seed facing the number 3 seed now. They played the 2 seed, now they got to play the 3 seed. They're not going to come into this match and think, "Well, it's the 3 seed where we haven't beat them." No, they're going to come in with the same attitude and mentality that they did last week, and I fully expect them to come into this match and play the exact same way. I think winning as convincingly as they did against Northern Colorado, I think has given them a ton of confidence. I expect them to be just as clinical this week as they were last week. And unfortunately for Madison, they don't play the exact same style, but there are similarities between their game and Northern Colorado's game. Their attack is very similar to each other. Um, Spokane just had in the second half would almost seem like a tune-up match for their game against Forward Madison. Um, so I think Spokane's going to come into this one energized. I think Madison's going to come into this one energized, just coming off their first victory in Brees Stevens in the playoffs. We know those fans are going to show up. They do every single week. Why would this be any different? I just think between these two matches, I think you have the two traditional, powerhouse teams playing in the first match, and I think in this one you have two of the more fluid and interesting dynamic teams playing each other. Um, I think this match is going to be a ton of fun, and I think it's all going to come down to Spokane's ability to play Spokane soccer. If they can play the same brand of soccer that they played last week, where they were strong in their passes, their press was high and it was vicious. I think they are going to give themselves a shot in this one.
The thing that's scary for me is the combination of Luis Heel, Josh Doling, and Kamarni Smith. Because those two, all on an individual basis, are such high producers for Spokane. I feel like if you stack those three up against, I would say, even the top five, top six of Forward Madison, the stats would tend to lean more toward those three. But I feel like Madison's roster is deeper than Spokane's. And I feel like Madison is also much better at playing the mental game than Spokane. Um, both of these teams have the ability to play very technical soccer. They have the ability to play very possession heavy soccer, but they also have the ability to play very direct, um, one direction, like running downhill type of soccer. I have to believe that the depth of Ford Madison lends them an advantage, but the three players that I named for Spokane just carry so much weight for them, um, that it's just crazy to think that they don't have a chance in this match. They definitely have a chance in this match,
For
and
sure.
like you said, the confidence and the swagger that they're going to be bringing to Brees. Oh my gosh! As much as I wish I was at Warner Park tomorrow, I also wish I was at Brees. Oh my gosh.
Oh, if only I had a private plane.
Yeah, I know, right? Uh, don't plan on texting or calling me tomorrow while these matches are on, um, because I'm going to be glued to my TV watching these matches. These are going to be so much fun to watch. Um, the when I talk about the mental side of Forward Madison and how many, let's throw out a stat of like how many fouls they win. You have I'm looking at my stats here. I have John Murphy, Derek Gebhardt, Devin Boyce, Christian Cheney, Derek Waldeck, all winning more fouls before the first Spokane player, um, and their total, which would be Luis Heel. So that right there tells you that they're going to be playing some sort of a mental game with Spokane tomorrow as well. Try to slow them down, control the pace of the match, and inject their own style of play. Try to dominate the pace of the match. I fully believe that's what Madison's mo is tomorrow.
We just got guys going at each other in the live chat.
Oh,
Oh, so yeah, Gio and Tim going going at it. I liked a little bit of banter in the live chat. And Tim, no, I do not own a soccer team, and don't have a private plane because they're horrible for the environment. That's the only reason why I don't have one, for sure.
you sold yours to Taylor Swift, didn't you?
Yeah. Yep. She didn't have to change it at all either. That's exactly how I had it too. But I I think Spokane has a real chance in this one. I think I think coming off of last week was a big kind of momentum shift for them because we know they got into the playoffs, backed into the playoffs completely, came out with their hair on fire and beat NoCo. Um, I think it was a coaching masterclass, and I think that's going to continue into this week. Um, but I do tend to agree with you on this one. I think top to bottom, I think Forward Madison is the more talented team and the deeper team. And I think when you go and you have a team that's more talented, deeper, with the fan base behind them, like Forward Madison is, it's really hard to bet against that team at Bree Stevens in the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree.
But I will say as well, if anybody can do it in these playoffs, it's Spokane.
Yeah.
They've proven they can do it. They did it last week. So I think either way, this is going to be a great match.
Yeah.
Who do you got in this one, Rich?
Man. Brooks Thompson versus Burn Shipman. Christian Cheney versus, call it Louis Heel, since they're leading scorers for their clubs. Um, oh man, Masango Akale versus, who do I want to put? I want to see his matchup against Derek Gebhard.
Mm-hmm.
Man, going into this one, I'm gonna go. So Spokane has never scored against Ford Madison. I'm gonna say they score against Ford Madison. I'm going to say another scoreline of 2-1. This one in favor of Ford Madison.
Like it. Like it.
How about you?
So we're in the playoffs. Deeper roster, more talent. Bree Stevens, crowd's gonna be hopping. It's gonna be a great night for soccer. But those fans are going home sad. Spokane comes in and pulls another upset and beats Forward Madison 2-1 on the upset.
Ooh. Oh,
So I've
man.
got Omaha and Spokane in the final. Luis Heel comes back to Omaha to play in the final.
Wow. Okay, so you're predicting the upset there. If you would ask me is more likely, which home team is more likely to lose, I would say Union Omaha.
Yeah, makes sense.
Oh man. So
I
you're
got a feeling. I doubted them once. I am not doubting them again.
so you're looking at Spokane like Doctor Strange and Endgame. You got 14 million versions of this multiverse, but you got that one chance.
Hmm. I think it's for me. It's going to come down to if Spokane can look as clinical as they did last week, and if they can force their game plan onto Forward Madison, which they haven't been able to do this year, but Forward Madison has had teams do this to them this season, where they have gotten sucked into playing another team's game. And the mind games, I think you're right. I think Madison can play the mind games better, but I think that is also something that Spokane is going to be telling their players that they cannot get sucked into that mind game because that's how Madison beats you. They beat you by outwitting you and winning the fouls that they need to win. But I don't think it happens in this one. I can't
Holy
bet
crap.
against them now until when my prediction for both of these matches work out. if it is Omaha and Spokane, I'm telling you right now, I'm picking Omaha.
Are you picking regulation time for both of these matches?
Regulation for Omaha and Greenville. This one, I think, probably goes into extra time if Spokane's going to win.
Oh my gosh. Wow, that's crazy. Okay. Oh, I love that. Just thinking about it. Oh, man. All right. So you have Spokane 2-1. Going back to the live chat, Chris coming in here saying Spokane stunned NoCo. Would love to see a closer game with Madison, though. Tim saying Byrne has got to be a little miffed at being left off for Delgado. Yes. Um, Tim also saying Boyce versus Luis Heel. Ooh, well, Luis is going to be in the middle. Boyce will likely be on the wing,
Yeah, but
but those
Boyce
two
plays
will certainly
everywhere.
meet. Yeah, those two will certainly meet on plenty of occasions in that match. Soup Loops, my hope for the vibes is for the final being in Brees. That place will be hopping. Okay, so he is calling for
Would be.
Greenville and Madison to win, which would be a fun final too.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
I think no matter what happens, the final's going to be awesome. I think these
Yeah.
four teams in the final, I mean, any one of these four teams or any two of these two teams facing each other in the final would be insane.
Yeah. Lil Kuzi saying, will the playoffs stay at 8 teams when the league expands next year? I think it's 16-ish teams as of next season. All indications point to
So
8 teams staying for next season. Tim saying, I'm really hoping it will. It will. 2/3 of the league is too much. Yeah.
agreed.
I mean, look at NHL. I mean, they let way too many teams into the playoffs
Or the NBA now with the play
or
in.
NBA.
Hmm.
Tim also saying, I need Spokane to win so I can say hi to Lee Viedman with my Liverpool kit on. Man, you Liverpool guys, man.
Cool.
You guys won Champions League match,
Hmm.
didn't you? Yeah,
Hmm.
congrats on that one. Did you see the gaff that Tyrone Mings had in the Villa match against Bruges?
I did not.
So Emi Martinez put the ball on the 6-yard box for a goal kick, passed the ball to Tyrone Mings, who was standing inside the box. Tyrone Mings thought he heard a whistle, so he
Oh, I
picked up
did
the
see
ball,
that. I did see that. Yes.
walked it back to the 6-yard box, put it down, and they called it PK. Yeah, and that's how Villa lost that match.
Hmm.
Even as I was watching, I had it on, but I was working on some other stuff. But I was watching it, and I kept thinking like, that's a goal kick. What are you talking about? And then they play the replay, and I'm like, shit, they're gonna call it a PK. Oof, man. Okay, so we have a truly exciting slate of matches this weekend. Even if it's just two, it's still super exciting to see all this happening. Um, Man, okay. Can't wait to see what happens from these matches. We are certainly going to be bringing you more action next week. Let me see if we have any more questions in the live chat or our Twitter.
See any in the
Twitter
live chat.
and nothing in the Twitter landscape. All right. So, do you have anything else you want to say?
Don't. I think it's just going to be a great weekend for some League One soccer, and I can't wait.
Totally agree. Man, this is going to be so much fun. All right. We have just finished the semifinal preview. We will be back next week for the preview of the final. So tune in next week for another episode of League One on the Rocks. We will bring all that and more to you. Um, Plus the polls tomorrow, plus some more random facts that we'll throw your way. I have one in mind that I want to shoot out before the kickoffs tomorrow. Um, but yeah, we're gonna have some fun times here in the very near future. So tune in for another episode next week. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. League One on the Rocks.
Thanks, guys.